At their September meeting this week, Fed officials are widely expected to cut interest rates for the first time since December. That's as the latest economic data shows that hiring in the US has basically flatlined, and many industries are cutting positions. In most intro to economics classes, you'll probably learn that rate cuts from the Fed just make life a little bit easier. Lower rates generally mean you have more room in your budget to borrow money because it's now cheaper. They might incentivize companies to hire more workers or move forward with the expansions that they'd been delaying when rates were high. Let me tell you why things are a little bit different this time. These are what economists like to describe as bad news cuts, meaning they're in response to economic weakness, not because of slowing inflation. They're most likely to cut interest rates by 1/4 percentage point. A 1/4 point cut would take interest rates back to where they were in late 2022, which at the time was the highest since 2007. In other words, interest rates are still historically high and higher than many consumers have been used to since the end of the financial crisis in 2008. That would feel a bit like wading from the 12-foot deep end of the pool where you've been hanging out to a new 10-foot section. It doesn't feel much different because you're still probably working hard to tread above water. And if you're worried about a recession or job loss, you might not really feel much interest in making a big ticket purchase, even if interest rates are a little bit lower. There's other evidence to suggest that rate cuts might not actually heal all of the economy's problems. Cyclical and structural factors like tighter immigration, tariffs, and an aging population are also weighing on the labor market. These are supply constraining measures that the Fed can't really do anything about. So you might be wondering, why cut rates if it isn't guaranteed to help? It all comes down to avoiding restricting economic growth for too long. Fed officials don't believe that the labor market is contributing to any inflation right now. They don't want it to cool much more from here, creating a cycle of layoffs and higher unemployment. Put simply, the Fed is hoping to create a little bit of a buffer around the economy. Putting all of this together, with the labor market slowing but inflation still above the Fed's goal, we might get a rate cut this month, but it's anyone's best guess what comes next.